Eggman, it appears you're going to be a father.
Again?
The only issue here is on the custody papers, it appears to have the name Mr. Tinker. Did you used to go by Mr. Tinker? Is that a name that's familiar to you at all?
Who the is Mr. Tinker?
And that's what we're talking about on today's episode of the LoreX podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Did you catch that music in the beginning of the episode?
Heck
Y'all catch that cool little soothing beat?
Absolutely.
Like, did you know that was made by my younger brother?
Yeah, dude.
So the LoreX podcast has a theme song now made by Julian Trimba on most, if not all, forms of social media. We'll leave his links and whatnot in the description below. Thanks, bro!
Yeah, thanks, dude. It sounds awesome, and you deserve all the credit for it. So good. Love it.
Speaking of other wonderful, wholesome creations, we're talking about the Tinkers today. Not just Mr., but also Belle.
Heck yeah.
Which I realize, now that I say it out loud, Belle the Tinker Belle, that's definitely not a coincidence.
No, okay, no.
Can't be a coincidence.
Yeah, no. I've been chomping at the bit to do a Tinker episode, because I think I read up on them a couple of months back, and I'm like, their story it's very cute and wholesome, but it's also tragic. So, yeah, no, it's not going to be a happy, fun time episode. It's going to get kind of sad.
I feel like we should start with the heavy stuff first, you know, like the evil doctor gone good. Like, I think that's the heaviest piece. So we'll get Tinker out of the way
I think
first,
I think we'll talk about Dad first before we talk about Belle.
Daddy dearest.
So, Mr. Tinker, i.e. Dr. Ivo Robotnik, this takes place after the event of the Eggman War. So this is after the events of Sonic Forces. Eggman was defeated, and somehow he wound up at Windmill Village, and he has no memory of who he was. And so when he approached the village, they kind of saw him and locked him up immediately.
As you would do when the tyrant comes to town.
Exactly. You know, the guy who just tried to enslave everyone, take over the world. Putting him in a cell when you see him is a pretty smart thing to do. What they didn't expect is he managed to break out of his cell and then start reinforcing his cell.
What a terribly designed cell. I wouldn't have been able to escape if perhaps it was built a little better. Let me just add a couple of reinforcement bolts here and a little bit of protective anodized steel supports there. And
they were a little confused by this. So over the next couple of days, they started like running different tests on him, basically trying to see if this amnesia thing is legitimate or not. And they come to the conclusion that he legitimately does not remember who he was. And basically, while he's staying at the village, he's kind of like repairing stuff and like tinkering with things big and small. So they ended up just calling him Mr. Tinker.
It's a good nickname for somebody who does tinker and doesn't in fact have a doctorate.
Yeah, I mean, he fixes like houses and stuff and doors. He fixes toys. Like, yeah, why not? Mr. Tinker.
And I'd say like this response from the village is totally fair, because I'm pretty sure we have instances in the past of Dr. Eggman like feigning being a good guy or changing his ways. So this is not a new appearance.
No, like
for Eggman.
He feigns like turning over a new leaf a lot in Sonic X. He does it like 2 or 3 times. So it's almost like take a shot every time he tries.
Also, wasn't that the whole entire plot of Sonic Colors? He's like, I'm making a new leaf. I made an amusement park in space.
Yeah. The Chaotix were on the hunt for Eggman because after the Eggman War, he went missing. So they find him here in Windmill Village, and they do their own investigation on him because they want to put him to justice. As they're doing their investigation, they also come to the conclusion of, all right, like he has amnesia, like he's not doing anything villainous. He's like straight up helping these people. Should we punish him for a life he doesn't remember? Which that is...
solid question.
Yeah, that's a huge moral quandary right there.
Naturally, what the Chaotix does, instead of answering the moral quandary themselves, they just pull in the protagonist Sonic to do the ethical decisions for them.
Yeah, they're just like, hey, yeah, Sonic, we see what we found. And I love the interactions between Sonic and Mr. Tinker. So Mr. Tinker is dragged out to meet Sonic by Charmy and some of the other kids. He's like, oh, hello, I'm Mr. Tinker. It's a pleasure to meet you. And Sonic's like, okay, you're not fooling anyone, Doc. Mr. Tinker's reply is just, Doc, I don't have a doctorate, I think.
Bro, I knew it was a lie. What would he have a doctorate in? Computer science? Actually, that kind of makes sense.
And so Sonic just not buying this bit, he starts bringing up a bunch of like past events or locations, trying to like get a rise out of him. So he's like, he brings up like the arc, and Mr. Tinker just replies, has a parabola. He's like, okay, the death egg. And Mr. Tinker's like, okay, now you're just putting words together. What are you talking about?
He's like, I wouldn't come up with names like this. But now Eggman Land. Now that's a concept. He winds up building like a little Eggman Land like children's amusement park in Windmill Village that somehow Rouge and Shadow catch on to. And when everybody else hears Eggman Land, we're like, oh no. But then he's like, oh yes, it's for the children.
Basically, for Sonic no longer questioning him, Badnik's attack, Mr. Tinker is making sure the children are safe and is bunkering down like where they are so that way the robots can't get to them, and is begging Sonic to help. Sonic and the Chaotix basically deal with the robots. Mr. Tinker and everyone is happy. Sonic's like, okay, I believe you now. Rouge and Shadow have been nearby, just kind of like observing him on the rooftops. He's like, oh man, I can't wait till like things are done and I can show you Eggman Land. Shadow's like, I'm about to kill your face unless you show me this Eggman Land of yours. I just see him like grabbing his like collar, just like, show me your Eggman Land.
I showed you my tragic backstory. Show me your Eggman Land.
I showed you my Eggman Land. Please respond. So Mr. Tinker reveals to them his Eggman Land. It's basically a little amusement park. Less like an amusement park, but more like a little play park with like little rides and stuff made out of like recycled badniks for the children and everything. And he's like, oh yeah, the name Eggman Land came to me in a dream, and I thought I would use it because I thought kids would find it funny. And with that, basically Shadow's like, ugh, I'm too edgy for this. I'm out.
I wonder if that thought that Eggman Land sounds like kids would get a kick out of it was the exact same train of thought that the developers thought of way back when they were like, what would Eggman want to build as the ultimate evil genius in this universe? Oh, Eggman Land.
This empire / amusement park for his ego. So with that, basically the heroes kind of depart, and we have a really cute scene where Eggman Land is open, some kids are playing on it, and Mr. Tinker is singing his version of Eggman's theme.
Oh yeah, as opposed to the I am the Eggman.
Yeah.
Instead it goes, just follow your dreams wherever you go. You're perfect in every way. I love to construct and make things go. There is no obstacle that stands in my way. It's so uplifting.
It's so uplifting and wholesome. I absolutely adore that. To the point, sometimes I will just sing that lyric when I'm just out and about because I'm just like, oh, it's so wholesome and cute. And it was all fun and games and great and perfect until he gets kidnapped by Rough and Tumble.
And sent to the lab of that platypus.
Oh my god! Dr. Starline ruining great things for everyone. And also, before he got kidnapped, he made himself a daughter, a little assistant, if you will. When he made her and was like introducing her to the village, they were very skeptical because they're like, oh no, he's making robots again. Uh-oh. But then they're like, okay, we'll give her a shot. He's again turned over a new leaf and everything. She seems nice. Okay.
She seems fine. Can't wait to talk about Belle the Tinkerer and her corresponding lack of a father.
Yeah. So back to Mr. Tinker in Starline's laboratory.
Oh yes,
He
dude.
just starts shocking the poor man.
It's electroshock therapy. It's a standard in the industry.
Yeah, 3 sessions using neurostimulants and aggressive hypnotherapy.
Oh no! You don't have to call it a neurostimulant or any of these other like medical jargon. He electrocuted his brain.
Yeah.
Like goes 3 times. And then I know Dr. Starline technically has that hypno glove or whatever, but I like to believe it's just the platypus being like, wake up, Eggy boy!
Yes.
Smack! And he's like, where's my daughter? And he's like, it didn't work.
And Mr. Tinker starts like kind of gravitating towards like his old stuff. He actually built a new Motobug designed to trim shrubs.
That's so cute.
And
wait, was this the Motobud?
Yes, this is the
bud of
this
the
is the
Moto?
Motobug that becomes Motobud.
Oh my god,
And
he created
inside-
Motobud in the midst of his ego therapy?
This is where it gets really sad because at this point, Mr. Tinker has kind of realized his fate is sealed. So he writes up a letter or a form of message and puts it inside this motobug for Belle.
Oh, that's heart-wrenching.
It's a confession and it's a farewell because basically it's him being scared that he's going to be this evil person that apparently he used to be. And he basically tells Belle like that he loves her.
Yeah, I've got the message pulled up and he's like, this is my confession of an old man's conscience. I lived a good life. You've become a wonderful woman. My captor's adamant that I am Dr. Eggman, and it turns my stomach, but I can't deny the logic. I'm not Dr. Eggman, but if I lose myself to this nightmare, I'm sorry. I love you, Belle. I always will. Goodbye.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It's Tinker coming to terms with his effective mortality.
Oh my God, I actually got a tear from that. Like a little tear forming, I feel it. To try and get Mr. Tinker like the full push back to Eggman, Dr. Starline introduces him to Orbot and Cubot. Basically, in their interactions, Mr. Tinker's like, oh yeah, so like how was your interaction with Eggman? They're like, oh yeah, Eggman would like abuse us. And he basically hugs them crying, just like, oh my gosh, why would someone abuse you poor beautiful beings?
Gosh.
And they're both
beautiful robots.
It's like, that's not fair to you. That's not nice.
And then something changes him for the worse.
Yeah, so Metal Sonic returns after assumably a fight with Sonic, and he is very badly damaged. And Mr. Tinker goes up and is like, oh, you poor machine, like wanting to fix him up. And that is the trigger that turns him back into Eggman.
I wonder how Metal Sonic felt about, in his robotic ways, being the one to turn his father back into his version of his father.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Just in that moment, Eggman loses all of his recollection of being Mr. Tinker. Well, that's what it says on the wiki, but he does still have some memories of it. He demands like a full explanation from Starline. Basically, okay, what is going on? Who are you? Bring me up to speed on everything. And so Starline starts explaining everything as Eggman is repairing Metal Sonic.
Oh my gosh. At this point, is Eggman still in his Tinker attire?
He is.
Or did he just like, ew, get these clothes off of me? Remind me of my early concepts.
As he's working on Metal Sonic, he orders Orbot and Cubot to get his old outfit.
Oh my gosh. That's kind of poetic in a way.
Like his first kid is the one that makes him remember who he was. Unfortunately, ultimately for the worst. Not gonna lie, I would love an alternate universe where like Mr. Tinker never turned.
That'd be an interesting one to explore.
I love this kind of like moral dilemma that they introduced here with like the Chaotix and Sonic and everything. Yeah, they wanted to bring him to justice, but is it right to punish someone for memories for a life they don't remember?
Yeah, it's a legitimate philosophical concern.
Yeah, I love that. And I love Mr. Tinker as a character. And I kind of wish we got more, but I understand like why we can't. Like we had like a new villain and Mr. Tinker basically becomes like a supporting member of our heroes. That would have been a very cool idea as well.
I mean, I'll admit, if I had to pick between having the Eggman as the top evil dog, or that platypus, I don't have respect for Dr. Starline or the other villains in the comic arcs. Like, if anything, if I had to pick a villain, I'd pick Eggman. Yeah, because I kind of admire his intellect. Yeah, not in the same way Starline does. I'm not an Eggman fanboy. Thank you very much.
And so basically, once Eggman is back to his old ways, as we've talked previously, his first invention upon his return is the metal virus. Because basically he read up on the data from Neo Metal Sonic, and also he just casually has all 7 Chaos Emeralds now because Starline gave them to him.
What a lad.
As a part of his apprenticeship application.
Whack. I want to bring it back to humble roots. I don't want to talk anymore about that platypus. Yeah. I will continue referring to him as that platypus because I think it's kind of funny. For the color schemes of the outfits of Mr. Tinker and Belle the Tinkerer, did you know that apparently the outfit color scheme was a reference to his original concept design?
No.
Dr. Eggman?
Really? They went with like the green and pink?
Yeah, evidently. Like there's some early concept art for Dr. Eggman before he he was like determined to be the antagonist of the Sonic the Hedgehog game. And it's him being a potential protagonist. And he's got these green pants and this pink polka dot shirt and a little like nightcap. It looks like he's in pajamas. And he's just got this pinhead like aesthetic to him that looks like he's, I guess, maybe a smart doctor who rolled out of bed and was like, I'm gonna go on an adventure. And I don't know why, but for some reason in the same source that I found this older like colored pencil drawing of early Dr. Eggman, there's another one drawn in, I assume, what is it, the year 1931, where it's just Eggman completely grayscale, just looking with a glare in his glasses, being like, I'm going to
almost want to say hyper realistic.
Evil.
That's really funny.
Those cheekbones, though.
I want to say, like, Mr. Tinker, he rocks that green and pink. I love his color scheme.
Oh, he does, dude. He does. And the sandals? Oh, man.
Yeah. Not lab safe, but then again, he doesn't work in a lab.
That's fair. He works at a carpentry shop. And by all means, that's also not very safe for when you're around saws or large pieces of wood. He's also not wearing a helmet.
Yeah, he still has his goggles, though.
I don't think anybody wears a helmet.
Yeah, not many people wear helmets.
Unless Belle's hat thing is also functionable as a helmet?
I don't know. It looks like the kind of like hat that like Link from like The Legend of Zelda will wear.
Yeah, I can see that. So a total summary on Tinker. Eggman loses memory, gets really good, still smart, still build robot, builds new daughter, platypus shocks him, old son restores him back, metal virus.
Yep. Let's go on to the daughter, the little Tinker.
The Belle Tinker.
She's very different from her other badniks because she does not look mechanical. She has like this marionette kind of like Pinocchio appearance. Yes, she is still a robot because it's a mechanical skeleton with a wooden exoskeleton. Basically, what she would do is she would help Mr. Tinker like fix up toys and whatnot, and she would refer to him as her dad. She loved her dad.
Belle the Tinker was like kind of the sidekick to Mr. Tinker, kind of like Metal Sonic is to Dr. Eggman, but instead of for nefarious means, it's for like really wholesome means, like being an extra hand in the shop and stuff like that, you know? Mm-hmm. For all intents and purposes, aside from the little bit of hesitation that Windmill Village had, they were like, yeah, I guess she passes the vibe check too.
Yeah, and they accepted her. And just one day, she noticed her dad went missing.
Oh, this is where it starts getting sad, isn't it?
Everything changed when the face ship barfed. That came down, turned the villagers into zombots, and Belle was reasonably, afraid. So she hid in the workshop and basically kind of stayed in Windmill Village as the zombot apocalypse went on. It doesn't get better because when the apocalypse ended and people came back, they basically outed her and blamed her for being like a spy and essentially kicked her out because they're like, oh my gosh, like Mr. Tinker is the evil Dr. Eggman. Belle cannot believe any of that.
Yeah, right?
Makes sense, because she doesn't know this Dr. Eggman. She just knew her father, and she's like, my father would never do any of this.
And if I recall, right after the events of the metal virus, Belle's just like, everyone's telling me that it was my dad who did this, and I apparently don't know who he really is. I'm gonna go find him.
Yeah, so she goes off on her quest to find her dad.
And evidently, like, Belle the Tinker has been in the comic series at least for quite a hot minute, so there's a lot of like synopsis material of her in the chow races and Bagnet bases. Test run was apparently an issue. They were hunting for the Zeddies and stuff. Trial by fire, the Phantom Rider. But essentially, it's her palling around with a couple of our notable characters in the comic series along the way to finding her way back to Dr. Eggman and confronting him and being like, you're not my dad. Mm-hmm. I'm moving on. But along the way, I think we had some pretty interesting interactions between Belle the Tinker and the other characters, starting with Sonic the Hedgehog, I think.
Oh my god, this interaction between Sonic and her when he encounters her at an abandoned Eggman base not far from Windmill Village. I kind of hate this panel, actually. It's essentially Sonic making fun of her.
Cause it's Sonic's like quote cocky attitude applied to admittedly a bad Nick, but this bad Nick's a good Nick. And the dramatic irony of the scene is us us as the reader are like, oh, Sonic, you're being really mean to like a really innocent person.
Basically, she saw Sonic and Tails, didn't want to interact with them, so she tried hiding, and then basically they found her. And so Sonic sees her, thinks she's a badnik, and he's like, oh man, what's the name that Eggman came up for you? Puppetron? Warionette? No. Ventriloquist.
Admittedly, those are kind of pretty good quips.
Yeah.
If this was indeed good guy versus bad guy, but this is good guy versus innocent basic civilian.
Yeah.
Who happens to be artificial.
She dodges every one of his attacks, but like, oh, I don't like this comic.
Yeah, dude. Admittedly, like, she is super dexterous. I mean, she's made of wood, which, depending on, I guess, the type of wood compared to the type of alloy used for the endoskeleton, she might be lighter on her feet because the materials she used are lighter than, let's say, heavy steel, for example. But even better, during this scene, we get a piece of what Belle the Badnik is capable of.
Yep.
Pull her tail and her feet go like, whoop!
Yeah, and that is basically the one attack, because I believe it's Sonic like pulls her tail by accident and she basically just kicks him.
Admittedly, like she's got a couple other multi-tool things going on in her fingers and whatnot that they kind of reveal throughout the series, like a little lighter in her finger and a little screwdriver and other like mini tools and stuff like that. But I think this is the most notable trait.
Yeah.
That tail becomes central not just for some of her combat abilities, but also her connecting with other folks in the comic series as well. Because I think after the confrontation between Sonic and Belle in the abandoned base, eventually Belle finds her way back to Tails' workshop. And after a bit of interaction, Tails is like, oh, you have a knowledge of egg tech? You can connect to like the egg net. And she winds up using her abilities to help repair Omega, who somehow got back into Tails' hands after this. I can't remember exactly how that worked in the Metal Virus arc.
Well, Omega was in like Tails' workshop area at Restoration.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I remember now. Eggman got detached and then back to Eggman. Eggman put Omega inside of a big mech, and then when Sonic came back,
they destroyed the big mech and got Omega's back. And yeah, it was Omega's head because the body that Eggman put him on was attached to the big mech, which they destroyed. So yeah, he was back to being a head. Omega getting a little ahead of himself.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so at Restoration's new headquarters, she meets Tangle, and basically they bond because they both have weird tails.
Yeah,
hers makes her kick
this.
things, and Tangle, hers just stretches. And I love this.
I love this one comic strip where it's Tangle and Belle. It's mostly Tangle just being like, oh my god, you have a funky tail too! We're in the Funky Tail Collab, it's great. Oddly enough, Lycos, if you looked at Belle's tail, what do you make of it?
I see it like a wooden toy string.
That's fair, like a rope or something, right?
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I don't remember when we last talked about it, but I think we were talking about Knuckles the Echidna and the fact that his tail is not typical of an echidna. It's typical of, it was a lizard, I think, right?
Yeah, it was a reptile because that was referencing the original concepts for him, because the guy who made him, I'm blanking on the name right now, wanted Knuckles to be a reptile.
And I wonder if we're catching on to a potential pattern in certain characters whose end animal or end implementation is not the same as the original concept, because Belle the Tinkerer's original concept was supposed to be like a mouse, like a Tinker Mouse.
Oh yeah, that's
And so her
right.
original concept has these little like spiraled lines in the tail and whatnot. And I gotta admit, the end rope tail that manifested as her final form is kind of similar to a mouse tail in a way. What do you think of that?
Oh yeah, it totally is, because yeah, it has like those lines on it because it's a rope texture, but it's also kind of referencing that texture that like mouse tails have. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and I thought this like I couldn't deny the fact that, you know, it's got a little tuft at the end of it, which is not typical of mice tails, I think. But like, there's something about the tail being a reference to a character's original inspiration that seems to be the case, at least for Knuckles and so far Belle the Tinkerer. And I wonder if there are more examples of that out there.
Yeah, I feel like that in itself as an episode would be really cool. Like going over like characters that we currently know, but it's like what they could have been.
I also love the implication of maybe one of these episodes we just look at the butts of all the characters and just see if we get any inspiration from their butts. But like you see what I mean, the implication, Lycos.
I'm just gonna stay quiet and see how long it takes.
Oh, you were just letting me have the space to just talk about looking at the butts of characters.
Yeah, I just want you to go off, King, about how much you want to look at character butts.
No. I didn't say that I specifically wanted to. You said we should do an episode looking at the tails of the characters.
No,
and I was like,
I
tails
did not
and butts.
say looking at the tails. You said that.
Okay.
So you want to look
Listen,
at character butts.
I might be projecting here just a little bit, but like, dude, Tangle.
What that tail do, though? Actually, we've seen what that tail do.
That tail gets long.
Dude, that is a Mr. Fantastic tail, and it is awesome. Belle tried to fit in and basically get a job at Restoration, but kind of just ended up getting in people's way. And she's just like, okay, yeah, this is not for me. But like, she still tries to like help out.
She's trying as best as she can to help the group.
Yeah.
And at the very least, like, she is a tinkerer, so she can like help repair things and whatnot.
Yeah, though unfortunately she keeps getting like in the way of the chief mechanic, which this guy does not even have a name. He's just chief mechanic.
Yo, this guy's an orangutan.
Heck yeah, he's an orangutan.
Dude, this guy's got like 70s hippy dippy orangutan vibes.
Yeah, like his shirt is giving me like a tie-dye like purple.
This guy absolutely sparks up at music festivals.
Oh yeah.
Or races, or work, or maybe all three.
I love this design actually. Because how many monkeys do we really, or not monkeys, I don't think that's the right term here.
Simian.
Thank you. How many Simians do we have in the Sonic universe?
In the recent canon, I want to say one of the other ones is Tangle, actually, because lemurs are a Simian, apparently.
I forget you.
Which I didn't realize.
I forgot you was a lemur.
Tangle lemur.
Yeah, because of course a lot of the other ones, or like one of the only other ones I can think of was pre-Super Genesis wave, and that was the Monkey King. I don't remember if we actually gave him a name or not.
Oh, didn't he have an interaction with the Ring of Acorns or something?
It wasn't the Ring of Acorns. It was
another ring that we talked about.
It was the one that was the crown, because he wears that, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. Because we were talking about the potential ductility of gold. Power ring crown, worn by Monkey Khan, who's floating on a cloud.
Yep, that's him. Because again, he's based on like Journey to the West.
Yes, I recall that.
We're not talking about Simians. We're talking about Belle. She worked a little bit for Restoration. Then Restoration got attacked by the Zeti.
Classic.
And so her...
Oh, and you know what? She's a robot.
Yeah.
Oh,
However,
Zeti can control robots.
She actually was not. So her and the mechanic were hiding from Zamam, and then Zamam got hypnotized and left them alone because they were saved by your favorite platypus.
I was just about to say, who else but Starline has the power to hypnotize?
He attacked her supervisor and like knocked them out, and she's basically like, hey, stop hurting them, like let them live, I'll do what you want. So Starline basically takes her to his hideout, wanting to analyze her. He doesn't want to completely disassemble her because she's like, well, technically you are the doctor's work, and I love the doctor's work. But
why the heck would you talk like Starline like that?
He sucks. That's why. And
I just want to be like,
my,
he's a platypus.
Platypus sound like stuck-up voice, and oh, I love the doctor voice. Because that's Starline. I don't like him. So
yeah,
basically, he's just trying to gather data from her, and he gets more data from her the more emotional she gets, because she starts getting mad at him. I think partially blaming him for what has happened to her dad, and then
rightfully so, because it is his fault.
Yeah, rightfully so. Basically, they just get talking. She kind of shares her story. And then she learns Starline doesn't care. He literally just wants more data from her, and that's it.
And sleazy platypus.
She gets rescued by a ghost. A ghost.
It's Espio, isn't it? Inviso chameleon.
And Belle is, again, just heartbroken because, you know, talking to the man who kidnapped her father, gave her story, and learned that, oh, this guy basically isn't a person. He doesn't care at all. And Vector tries comforting her afterwards, saying that she's not alone and that her friends are waiting for her.
And I love how after this, they wind up going to a forest campground or whatever. I guess, you know, admittedly, Belle becomes surrounded by like other friends and stuff, including like Amy, Tangle, Jewel on this other camping trip. Tails is out there too.
Yeah.
And so is another friend who is lurking in the forest that she didn't know about.
Motobud!
And I love this little guy. This was the badnik that Tinker was working on while he was still held captive. This also comes after we find out that Belle the Tinkerer has a lighter in her finger and she kind of sets herself on fire and it burns off the wood part of her arm. And so she's like in the middle of the forest looking at her mechanic innards being like, this is who I am. And then this bug robot comes out of nowhere and it's just like, I see you, but we're cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm also a Tinker creation. Although it doesn't actually say that because it can't speak like that.
Yeah, and of course, that lighter starts a heckin' forest fire. So she's trying to put it out, and Motobud is helping her put it out.
Where the heck is Smokey the Bear at this point?
Where is Smokey the Bear in the Sonic universe?
Do we have any bears in the Sonic universe?
Yes, we do.
Buck? Is that his name? The polar bear? Not
Bark.
Bark, that's it.
Also, there's a couple of villagers in Windmill who are very clearly bears. I feel like a lot of the bear characters are just like
characters.
generic civilians. I feel like part of that is just because it's like a bear in like Sonic style is really easy to do because they just got little ears and a little tail. But so yeah, with the forest fire and everything kind of like eventually under control after a whole bunch of shenanigans, this is where Belle is like, hey, Jewel, restoration is not for me. I'm out. But she does go to Tails' workshop to kind of help him out with stuff. And that's where there's a weird like frequency that starts controlling a whole bunch of different badniks, like having them go towards a specific location. At first, it's only really affecting Motobud, but then as like Tails and her are starting to investigate it, she falls victim to this signal as well. And this is where they learn that if something tries to stop this badnik from getting to this location, they turn hostile because Tails gets in her way and she starts attacking. Turns out it's the Eggperial City. Oh, Eggman. I love your naming convention.
Eggperically annoying in naming convention.
Yeah, so when our heroes get there, they do trigger the hostility of all of the badniks. And unfortunately, since they fixed Belle at this point, they have to actually choose to turn off Motobud because he is one of the hostile badniks.
Oh,
and they do this, and they with the implication that there is a chance that Motobug will not come back. Unfortunately, it's a risk that they have to take. And that is where inside Motobud, Belle finds the written confession from her father.
Oh, that's where she finds it.
Yeah. And yeah, she follows Sonic and Tails as they head into the Eggperial City. And inside, she actually finds a badly damaged Metal Sonic. What does she do? Like her father, she tries to repair him, despite Tails' objections.
And then Metal Sonic in his Metal Sonic way is just like, little sister?
Well, I mean, absolute minimum, he does recognize her as Egg Tech.
I'm pretty sure their badnik innards also recognize each other as Egg Tech, because I think in this moment of being near Metal Sonic, Belle figures out where Eggman is because Metal Sonic knows where Eggman is because of the Eggnet stuff, and they somehow technologically communicate that to each other. Welcome to the Eggnet.
And yeah, so she has her big confrontation with Dr. Eggman. She tells him about like the letter he left for her before Starline, and I quote, ruined their lives. And basically Eggman is just like, yeah, I'm not going back to that way of life. I like the way I am, thank you. Belle basically broken and realizing she can't change Eggman back, she basically says goodbye.
Yeah.
And
but not before
he
Eggman
makes her an offer. It's like, listen, you're either going to help me or you're going to be against me. And if you are, you're gonna have to fight Metal Sonic. And she's like, no. I'm just gonna fix any robot you abandon.
Well, lucky for you, Belle, there's an entire island of Scrapniks, actually.
Yeah, she admits she's gonna help out Sonic. Eggman basically laughs it off and it's just like, okay, all right, Sonny boy, let's go. And leaves with Metal Sonic.
So flashing forward a bit beyond the Phantom Rider arc and another confrontation between Belle and Metal Sonic, where I think Belle basically saves Sonic from Metal Sonic. They do wind up having that confrontation. We find ourselves in this, it's either the Scattered Pieces arc or otherwise. I know it's in issue number 76 because it says it right here on the little comic strip here that I've got. Essentially, Motobud gets a little aesthetic redesign, going back to those colors of yellow and green and a little bit of a flower on them. Belle says goodbye to a group that they refer to themselves as the Diamond Cutters, which I'm not as familiar as of a group. But it definitely seems to include like Whisper, Silver, Tangle, and Belle, and I think Jewel and whatnot. She has this confrontation with her friends, and they're like, do you want to come with us? And she's like, actually, I love you guys, but you're kind of disaster magnets, and I want to live a peaceful life traveling the world with Motobud to fix all the broken pieces out there and just put some good into the world, away from the action.
You know what? I feel like that is the most, like, reasonable response I have heard in this entire franchise. Dude. I want a life of peace. Everything that wants to kill and could kill is after you guys. So I love y'all, but I'm a bounce.
Yeah. So she winds up getting hooking Motobud up to this beautiful little wagon-looking thing as they go off on their journey, and I don't think have been seen very much since then. This is so freaking cute, dude.
Aww.
I love it, dude. It has that absolute like toy construct like aesthetic.
It's like a toy wagon, like America's like settling all west kind of vibe.
Oh yeah, I totally dig that. Little Oregon Trail vibes.
Yeah,
in all the best ways.
Oh, it's so cute. Oh, and the fact there's a little flower basket next to that window. Ah, it's so cute. Gosh, yeah. I love that. I have to stop looking at that. That is freaking adorable. 10 out of 10 for whoever designed it.
To my knowledge, I think that's basically the last that we've seen of her.
Honestly, I really like this idea for her. She admittedly has a really messed up story. Her father went missing, and now he's the evil tyrant trying to destroy or take over the world. And with that baggage, she's basically like, no, I want to fix things. I want to put some good into the world. She's not a fighter. She fixes things.
Yeah.
And so, like, her leaving Restoration, the Diamond Cutters, like, that tracks because she's like, I don't want this violence. I just want to build and fix.
If anything, it's like in stark contrast to Metal Sonic, because just looking at these two badniks in general, whenever Metal Sonic gets broken down and comes back up again, he goes back to the one anchor that he's got, Dr. Eggman, who happens to be evil and winds up putting him back towards nefarious means.
Yeah.
But for Belle, on the other hand, when she gets knocked down, certainly not as often as Metal Sonic and certainly not in the same ways, she winds up being like, well, instead of going back to my anchor points, I'm going to go back towards something new. The first time when she lost Tinker, she was like, well, he's not here anymore. I'm going to go find him. And then along the way, found him. And she's like, well, now that I've got that, I'm going to go do some work with, I guess it was the Diamond Cutters in this case, in the subsequent arcs. When it comes to the point of self-realization that, hey, there's a lot of disaster here, I'm going to change my course yet again and go somewhere else. So she's a lot more like dynamically facing, it seems, than Metal Sonic would be, despite having at least some similarities in their upbringing.
Yeah.
Granted, you know, Belle was programmed with Tinker's mindset, Metal Sonic programmed with Eggman's mindset. I think there's something to be said there. But in terms of these two siblings, for lack of a better term, coping with the situation in different ways, it's just so interesting to see that done in this universe.
Yeah, no, definitely. Eggman is a coin, and each one was built on a different side of the coin. They're like one the same, but completely different at the same time. There's a very interesting dynamic. I don't think we have anything like that with any other character in the franchise.
And to be fair too, like, it goes to say that even from things that are bad, good can develop from it. Like, again, Mr. Tinker was admittedly good, and he created something that was good. Someone that was good. But when he turned bad again, his evil facet facing the good creation made Belle be like, I really don't want to be bad. I don't want to turn to be with my father. I don't want to be like my brother Metal Sonic. I want to go do good in the world. I'm not going to go do that.
It's good that at least Mr. Tinker, before he turned, put like some good into the world that will continue spreading good into the world. It's almost like Belle was like his last gift to the world of putting good out there.
Despite all of the bad eggs from Eggman Land, there was at least one good egg. And that good egg keeps getting gooder. Roll credits. But in all seriousness, did we miss anything for the Tinkers?
Honestly, I don't think so, because we covered all of Mr. Tinker, and Belle, we basically covered like all of the like Belle-focused bits, and now we're caught up where she's on her own adventure.
Oh man, we've talked a lot about the comic characters recently. And I kind of like where this is going. I feel like I'm getting too comfortable in comic land. I kind of want to jump back out again to something else.
Yeah, that's the same vibe I'm feeling.
What games have we yet to explore that featured certain other characters?
Because I'm trying to think of just like games that maybe have like weird concepts or characters that we haven't really talked about. And so far, the only one that really comes to mind is Sonic Unleashed. Only because we have like that whole werehog aspect. And also there's Chip. And we haven't really delved into that.
Are we unleashing the werehog?
Is it Morbin time?
I can't believe you just said that. In any case, to the audience, if you've got ideas for any characters or games to particularly cover, feel free to throw us a suggestion in the comments section if you want to. This was the LoreX podcast. I'm Cameron with an X.
And I am Lycos Lore. And thank you for listening.
Till next time, y'all. LoreX out.